No, I haven't made any charges in Colorado in the last 2 months. No. You listen. I didn't buy any snowmobiles. I sure as hell didn't give Activision Blizzard a penny of my money. Now, are you going to remove the charges, or do I have to bring you the head of the little shit who stole my credit card number and firebomb your office for the trillion Oh, hey, welcome to $5 Gaming. People have accused me of going into the games I review on this show with a negative attitude. That couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, for all the games on this segment, I didn't know they existed until I bought them, nor did I research them before I played them. This is the exception. I found out about this game several months ago when I found this scene on YouTube by accident.
No way am I losing to you two!
I'm not gonna lie, that is the only reason I bought this game.
Where do I begin with this one line? The unusually forced preteen voice? The overdramatic yet somehow subdued delivery of an otherwise generic line? The way it sounds like the voice actor is reading the lines 2 words at a time from cue cards 10 feet away?
No way am I losing to you two!
So I figured, hey, if the rest of the game was like this, it may not be a good game, but at least I'll be able to laugh at it.
So yeah, I found it for $3.85. Now, let's see how this goes.
I said it before, I'll say it again. Where do I begin? The red framework style chaps? The red arm wrap, which I'm guessing is the leftovers from when he made the chaps? The big dirty pizza peel he's holding? The random and out of place camouflage side pouch? The really high cut blue tank top which he clearly borrowed from his sister, complete with unnecessary belts? The goggle with red X's over the lenses, rendering them completely useless? Or how about the crown jewel? The 8-foot-long hair that's so jagged and gravity-defying it would make Pikachu jealous. I don't know how you did it, Square Enix, but you made Musashi too anime for anime.
Anime swag.
And if you think I'm dwelling too much on the character on the front of the box, it's because the back of the box...
Honestly, just look at this. I understand they were trying to make a dramatic shot of Musashi and the main villain squaring off, but they failed miserably. Not only does it look like they're about to kiss, but the way their eyes are drawn and the villain is half smiling, it looks like both of them are really into the idea.
I wanna know what love is.
Hold on a sec, I need to check something. It's okay! It's okay! There's no Musashi slash fiction. At least, none involving Musashi.
The game starts off with what is actually an exciting and well-animated intro. My only problem with it is the way that it throws in random characters' faces for no apparent reason.
Remember me? Remember me? Remember me?
That and there's a scene where I swear that Musashi's hair is getting an erection.
My hair is becoming aroused.
So wait a minute. The title card says Samurai Legend Musashi, but the game is called Musashi Samurai Legend. How do you screw up the name of your own game? And I'll warn you now, the story for this game, it's not exactly what you would call good.
Well, seeing as how this game is the unofficial sequel to Brave Fencer Musashi, and the plot aside from minor differences is exactly the same, I guess I can understand not putting any effort into your story. I mean, it's not like Square Enix has another game series where they attempt to come up with a somewhat original story every single time. Oh look! A card I forgot to put up.
Anyway, we start with Princess Mycela, doing her best Yuna impression as she attempts to summon a hero to save her village.
Your Highness! You monsters!
Once the guard is easily subdued by the weakest enemies in the game, the princess is approached by Gandrake Corporation's Director of Administration, Rothschild.
Wait, Wrathchild?
So the princess gets kidnapped because not only did she summon this instead of a hero, she didn't summon him to, you know, the place she was doing the summoning. Now you might ask, where did she summon Musashi?
And now our hero's been severely crippled! Yay!
Actually, he's just unconscious. A cat doing a bad Mr. Miyagi impression finds him though, and wait a minute, a week passed? The princess could be dead by now! The cat named Master Mew proceeds to train Musashi and—
Stop! Why would you summon a hero that needs a week of training to be able to do anything? Well, then again, maybe if you hadn't slammed him into the ground at terminal velocity, he wouldn't need the training. Now, if nothing else, Musashi should at least sound like a hero. Confident, yes, but also strong, honorable.
I'm all set, Whisker Dude!
And not like a 10-year-old from a crappy 90s cartoon. I hate him already.
Not good.
part of the tutorial was learning how to duplicate moves from enemies, which is like assimilation in Brave Fencer Musashi, but slightly worse.
This is gonna become a pattern, isn't it?
Duplication involves locking onto an enemy, waiting for the focus gauge to fill, intentionally getting hit, pressing square when/if an exclamation point appears above Musashi's head, and entering a button cue. Did you get all that? Well, here's why this wasn't necessarily the best design choice. The focus gauge doesn't always fill in time to duplicate an attack. This would be alright if I could defend myself, but every time I block, the focus gauge resets. So the best option is to try and back away or circle strafe, or attack— wait, how come attacking doesn't reset the gauge but defending does? But my biggest problem with this system is having to intentionally get hit. It's not as bad when you duplicate attacks from enemies with only 1 or 2 different moves, but more advanced enemies that have 3 or 4 can take off chunks of Musashi's health just figuring out which move can be duplicated. Sometimes you'll spend a few minutes and health items trying to duplicate an enemy's attack, only to find out that you're supposed to duplicate their defensive move by touching them.
Touch me, touch me, touch me.
Dear audience, I apologize for that tasteless and insulting attempt at humor.
Most of these abilities aren't necessary to progress. Attacks in particular are mostly there just to make the boss fights go faster. The most useful ones were the chain attack because it's a 5-hit combo done without using any magic points, and Karmic Circle because it's a ranged attack performed with Musashi's katana. Even then, I only did 3 or 4 hit combos because the wind-up and recovery for the final strike takes way too long, to the point where some enemies can get in cheap shots to break the combo altogether. This tends to happen with attacks done using the sword on Musashi's back, so I just avoided using it altogether. For all I've said about duplication and combat though, the game controls fairly well. Attacks, movement, and special abilities, they're all very responsive. Even if Musashi seems like he's taking his sweet time to run, or in this case slowly jog, anywhere. That and the camera tends to put itself in the worst possible position for combat sometimes.
So, what the... Stupid choking irony with the Musashi and no way am I losing to you two.
Jumping in particular also works pretty well, and it should considering how many platforming sections there are, particularly in the volcano. There were a couple spots that resulted in a slightly charred hero, but overall the platforming was a decent complement to the rest of the game. The one issue I had with the controls was how the special sword abilities handled. Oh, right. Musashi needs to collect 5 swords over the course of the game, and those swords are...
Wind! Water!
and Void.
What?
These swords each have a special ability attached to them, which is used several times throughout the game, and helps find secret items and progress through levels. An ability triggered by holding L2 and pressing triangle. I never got used to this. Maybe I was too busy wondering why these 2 buttons had to be used together when L2 was never used for anything else. Just make L2 the special ability button.
Keep it simple. You know, the opposite of how this guy dresses.
Getting back to the start of the game, it's not long before the first motorcycle sequence starts, and wow, this doesn't look familiar. Nope, can't say I've ever seen anything like this in a video game, much less an earlier Squaresoft title that's insanely popular and anyone would be able to notice when it was being copy-pasted into another title. Despite their being so prominent in the intro, there aren't that many sequences like this in the game. There are also parts where Musashi pilots a flying thing as he tries to ram enemies into the walls. Both sequences are almost insultingly easy, especially the flying ones, because the enemies bounce around the screen before dying and can cause a domino effect on their friends. To me, these segments are just the bastard children of Rebel Assault's flying stages and Wild 9's falling stages.
Your grandmama's mama!
On the way to the tower holding the princess, there will be a couple orbs laying around, and the only way to open them is by hitting them with the sword on Musashi's back, which to start out is... the Great Ore? You mean like the ore Miyamoto Musashi carved into a bokken and used to kill Sasaki Kojiro in their duel? That's a bizarre reference to make. Was Musashi's spirit looking over the shoulders of the development team and saying,
"You make me look like teenage cosplay nightmare. It's not like my bullets still haven't dropped yet. Put in the ore I used in that duel to kill the guy, what's his face? Oh, and make the villain the guy I killed in that duel. And put red X's over the goggles. Don't ask why, just do it."
Anyway, the orbs contain citizens of Antheon who fled in their escape pods during the attack that resulted in the princess's kidnapping. Not only are there a little over 24 of these, some of which somehow got several hundred feet underground or inside of a temple, but they have to be forced open from the outside. You know your escape plan sucks when this seems like a decent alternative. Some of the people in these pods are practically useless, but most of them serve important roles in the town Musashi stays in. There's the blacksmith, who makes Musashi's katana stronger, the ice cream girl, whose items recover magic points, the appraiser, who identifies unknown items Musashi finds, generic item shop girl, who sells items like gloves, a cape, a warrior ring?
Never forget, as the halls of the fallen trumpet your failure, that the last remaining unicorn is a testament to the 5-foot-long of time, as you shall never be, and I and my warriors are destined to become.
Actually, there's much better equipment to find than that, usually by doing challenges in the arena.
Besides, I was more of a Gold Dust fan anyway.
Equipment is almost an afterthought in this game because there's one and only one equipment slot. To be honest, equipment in general is almost entirely unnecessary in Musashi. I found a hard hat in the mine area, the second area, and I wound up wearing that for the entire game. Meanwhile, leveling up is really simple, but somewhat unique. Instead of just accumulating stats, there's a list of options for which stats in particular should be boosted more than others. Strength, defense, focusing on duplication, etc. It's kind of like the leveling system in Super Mario RPG, which is another Square game, so I guess it's not that unique. Getting back to the story, Musashi fights his way to the tower holding the princess. After some searching, he finds her behind an appropriately labeled door. Unfortunately, the series of tubes she was being held in drained most of her magic and left her incredibly weak. This leads to the game's next gameplay mechanic of having to carry people and objects while fending off enemies. Luckily, Musashi can still not only hold his katana without hurting who or whatever he's carrying, but his attacks are suddenly a lot stronger. Later, when Musashi rescues other people, they always either got the series of tubes treatment like Princess Micella, or they've twisted their ankle. Except for this person.
Finding thrush rooms deep in Manglewood is no walk in the park. We need to search together.
Maybe you're right.
Foraging with Musashi. What a treat! Could you carry me, Musashi?
But you're standing right now! You were able to walk to the forest! Why would it...
Still, that wasn't as stupid as the Imagicard system.
RPG card game! Ah!
Actually, it's not a game. It's just a bunch of cards of character and enemy models which perform one move with a button press. That is all they do. These exist only to waste money and a few lines of coding. Then again, I could say the same thing about Madame Alger, the fortune teller.